Hi, this is James and I'm back in my little shop again, and this is for part 2 of finishing the chess set. And what we're going to do today is I'll show you that I have recessed all of the pieces. We'll take a walk over there. Okay, well these are the pieces after I went through and sanded the proper recess at the bottom. So what we're going to do now is put them back on the lathe, put the final coat of finish on them, and then when they're all clean we'll start gluing the pennies in and then cutting the proper dowel to fit to make the bottom flat, and we'll glue those in, and then we will put the felt on. Okay, stand by. With all the recesses done, now the next step is to put the final finish on all the pieces. And if you remember from my videos, I used this chuck that I made. I would use the normal chuck and cut the bottom of the pieces, and then I'd use the chuck that I made with the hole and put a screw through it and mount them in this chuck, and then I'd turn the top piece. Well, after doing 32 pieces plus probably, I don't know, 15 prototypes and waste pieces, this chuck is just about ready to break. I've had to glue it back together once, and it no longer fits the pieces, so I had to make a new one, and it's a little more economical. It's smaller, and so what we will do is mount them to this new chuck and then put it in the lathe and find the index mark. By the way, in these chucks, all these jaws are marked 1, 2, 3, and 4, so if you mark your piece what jaw it was in, you should be able to put it right back in place. The same teeth find the same grooves in the wood, and so the piece will turn pretty true without any adjustments. So, see, now it's perfect. So what we're going to do, I'll pause it and I'll get closer so that you can see exactly. We're going to put a final coat of OB Shine Juice onto all the pieces. And then the next step will be putting the pennies inside, and we'll do that in the house where it's nice and clean and we can get a good video going. So I'll move the camera and we'll get started. Alright, so we may end up speeding the RPMs up a little bit, but we'll see how this works at a lower RPM that I was using to sand everything. I don't want to get the gook all over my hand, so here we go. And you just drizzle some on, catch it with the paper towel, and then the friction is what shines it up. You can tell when it's dry, of course, you can feel the heat, but you can also see the shine start to develop, and you feel a crust from the OB Shine Juice that develops in the paper towel. And what I always do when I'm done is I go through and I check my little groove here to make sure there's no paper towel caught in it, and that's a beautiful shine. So that's what we're going to do for all 32 pieces. So I'll stop the camera, we'll do that, and the next time you see me we'll be ready to put the pennies in. So bye for now. Well, here's the finished polished pieces. Sorry for the handheld shakiness, but they really shine, even though they're on a cheap tournament board that I used to play tournaments on back in the olden days. But They really look pretty good. So the next step is to weigh them and start adjusting the pennies for the weights. Now, I've had many private emails from people who've looked at my series and said, oh my gosh, the proportion of the pawns is wrong for the size square it has to be on. And you know, I started out wanting a big set, and my son wanted a big set. To me, this proportion is pretty good. I don't care that the base of the pawns is nearly the same size as the bases of the other pieces. I like this proportion. I've read that in some cases the pawn's base, 4 pawns should fit on a square. And to me that's just too much empty real estate. So anyway, that's just my opinion, and that's the way I made these. So that's just the way this set is. So anyway, we will start the pennies shortly and get this set done. Hi, we're back. So here we are with a stack of pennies and a scale that weighs down to the fractions of ounces. Now, I just looked up on the internet that tournament size triple weighted sets for a king that's for a king that's 4 1/4 inches tall, the chess piece is supposed to weigh 2 1/4 ounces. Well, when I measure my Alder king, he is 1 3/8 of an ounce. And the black king, all by itself, the walnut, is almost 2 ounces. The difference of 5/8 of an ounce. The difference in the density of the alder versus the walnut. So I'd like to have these pieces to be about 2 1/2, a little better in weight because of their size. And to do that with the alder piece, I need to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, let's start here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, or 6 pennies rather. I have 2 ounces, which is roughly the same size. I have to add 6 pennies just to get the king, this alder king, to match the walnut king. Now, to get it to 2 1/2 ounces, I have to add 4 more cents, 5 more cents. So in other words, I have to be able to fit all of these pennies into the base of the king to get the weight that I want. Well, I only allowed the hole to hold about 6 pennies. So I had to go and hand drill. I brought my drill in, and I had to hand drill this bottom hole out to a deeper depth. So now I can put all these pennies in. Whoops, I dropped one. And I should have room for all of them. And when I put the last penny in and weigh it, I have 2 1/2 ounces, and it's got a nice heft to it. So when I take the pennies that I need for the black king, I only have to add 4 cents, and I get a 2 1/2 ounce king. So they will feel the same when you move them. You won't notice the difference in weight. But now, because this is so much heavier, I have a 1/4 inch of gap between the penny and the base of the king. So that's where my 3/4 dowel is going to come into play. I'm going to measure how deep this is, cut a dowel, and glue that in on top so I have a flat base. And that should take care of the kings. And then proportionately, I will lower the weights for each of the other pieces. So I will stop in from time to time to let you know how I'm doing. I don't know what glue I'm going to use yet to glue these in. I'd like a nice thick heavy glue. I don't want to use wood glue, and I'm thinking maybe construction adhesive, liquid nails, just might be the ticket. I'll be back. Well, here we are. It's a few days later, and I have my stack of felt I'm going to use for the pawns, and then I made a few that are slightly larger, and that is for the rooks, queens, and kings, bishops, and knights. So what else I did is, I don't know, it took a little while, but I wrote J. Wegner 2016 on the bottom, just in case 300 years from now the felt falls off and somebody wants to know who made these things. So here we are at ground level, and I'm going to start putting the felt pieces in, and all I'm going to do is spray the pieces of felt with 3M adhesive and then stick them on, and the set will be complete. So we'll be back in a while. Don't go away. Alright, so I took a piece of paper and I laid out 8 of the pieces of felt, and I sprayed them with the 3M adhesive, and I think all we're going to have to do is set them in place and press down. So I'm going to be doing these 8 at a time. There's one. That seemed to work really well. And here's 2. Yep, these are going to be perfect. Here's 3. So I won't bother showing you everything, but we'll be back when we're done. Stay tuned. Well, sorry for the shakiness of the picture, but I'm hand holding it. This is them. They're done. Have the felt on them all. And I think it turned out to be just a really attractive set. So tomorrow, we're going to be delivering this to my son. And I'm going to pause and show you what else. Because I have not had the time to make a board or a box to transport these, I didn't want these damaged on the way back to my son's house. So my wife was kind enough to find this wonderful furry fabric, and she made little sleeves for all of them. I'm sorry, this would be hard to do with one hand, but you get the idea. We have bigger ones for the back row and smaller ones for the pawn row. So this is the end of the chess set series. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm thankful for all of the wonderful comments. Come back and see what else we do in my shop. I have a few ideas. So please subscribe, and we'll see you next time in James's workshop. Bye for now. Hi, this is James, and I'm back in my little shop again, and this is for part 2 of finishing the chess set. And what we're going to do today is I'll show you that I have recessed all of the pieces. We'll take a walk over there. Okay, well, these are the pieces after I went through and sanded the proper recess at the bottom. So what we're going to do now is put them back on the lathe, put the final coat of finish on them, and then when they're all clean, we'll start gluing the pennies in, and then cutting the proper dowel to fit to make the bottom flat, and we'll glue those in, and then we will put the felt on. Okay, stand by. With all the recesses done, now the next step is to put the final finish on all the pieces. And if you remember from my videos, I used this chuck that I made. I would use the normal chuck and cut the bottom of the pieces, and then I'd use the chuck that I made with the hole and put a screw through